Hi, I'm Thomas Jones, Senior Director of Analytical Services for Safe Food Alliance. And this is Tom Talks. So, when we ship products overseas, we find that, of course, we're leaving the United States, we're going into another country, or maybe a group of countries like the European Union, and they have their own standards for things, whether they're pesticide MRLs, the maximum limits of pesticides that can be detected, or things like aflatoxin or ochratoxin. Sometimes we'll find that they have limits for things that we don't necessarily have a limit for. So countries can disagree on their own risk evaluation process and what they consider is worth regulating or not. And it's important to understand what those different limits are when you ship to these other countries. Also, in addition to testing maybe the same things we do, they might have a different level that they're comfortable with. Again, everyone has a slightly different risk evaluation process. We try to stay engaged as much as possible with organizations both internationally as well as locally and nationally. Our involvement with the commodity boards, our involvement with groups like FRUCOM, Veranvry, and INC are very critical because they're often operating in some of these markets and can give us a heads up on what's going on. Basically, we have our eyes and ears open all the time trying to find out what the latest news is. Yeah, I mean, we keep hearing things on a regular basis. Europe is increasingly tight on the use of these pesticides. They're aggressively pushing towards a carbon neutral footprint. And so part of that is reducing some of the use of these pesticides. They are looking at things, for example, like a mirror clause. So if they eliminate something in Europe, they want to be able to eliminate it overseas. So they're starting to have an impact on production conditions globally. It is a challenge and an economic issue for us, but it can be like almost a life and death scenario for some of the producers in the third world because sometimes that's all they have to protect the product against pests. I'm letting them know the reality of what it means. Sometimes it is easy to come up with a regulation if you don't have to deal with the direct consequences of it. And so I'm just letting them know, hey, if you're going to do that, this may be the impact that you have. So I think it's important for them to understand that and to get that word out. The testing that we do that pertains to export is pesticides, mycotoxins. A distant third might be microbiological concerns, but those two are the top ones. Micro concerns include some of the same ones we have, for example, salmonella. It's interesting because in many of these markets they may not have a requirement for pasteurization or for a heat kill treatment like we do in the United States, but they still want to be sure that the product is free of a pathogen.